Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's life are still relevant today. So, to begin with their life, Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's janam happened in 1761 in the Pind Dehla Singha. And Mahant Lochan Singh Ji also says that Akali Ji's parent first was just named Dehla. But at a young age, they did a shikar of a sher in the Pind, and that's when the name changed to Dehla Singha. They were born in 1761 to the house of Baba Ishar Singh Ji and Mata Har Kaur Ji. Baba Ishar Singh Ji, before Akali Ji had turned 1, in the Kalukara, the Vadda Kalukara of 1762, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਤਲਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਫੱਟ ਲੱਗਣ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ. So before Akali Ji turns 1 year old, they've lost their Pitaji to Shahidi in battle. At the age of about 6 or 7, Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji also loses their mother, and they become orphaned. But at the end of the day, the Panth is their only family. When Maharaj says in Jawpuri Sahib, Sukhi Basai Moro Paravara, Akali Ji's life is a prime example of that. Because once they became orphaned, Buddhe Dal de Panjve Jathedar, Akali Baba Naina Singh Ji, Jinna da Na Panth Vich Narayan Singh Ji vi aunda hai, they took in Baba Phoola Singh Ji along with Baba Tapa Ji, who was a Gurpai of Baba Ishar Singh Ji. They took them in, they granted them with the Shastra Vidya, Santhya, and Akali Ji became the Surbi that we remember them as now. After they were taken in by Akali Baba Naina Singh Ji, they ultimately took on the role of being the 6th Jathedar of Shiromani Panth Akali Buddha. And at the same time, before the British had colonized Punjab and the Sikh Raj, the Jathedar of Buddha was also the Jathedar of Akal Takht Sahib. So Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji took on those 2 roles during the times of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And that's where another lesson comes forward. Even though Maharaja Ranjit Singh was a Maharaja of Punjab, and a lot of times we offer a lot of respect and sabkar to these politicians, at the end of the day, when it comes to these worldly affairs, Maharaj's Takht is always the highest. So Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, recognizing that they were Jathedar of the one Takht that will never be diminished by time or an election, sitting on the Takht of Akal Takht Sahib, the Jathedari of Akal Takht Sahib, they made sure that they nibad this role, that they took on this role with Imandari and made sure that the Guru's Maryada, the Guru's history, and the Guru's Takht always came first, even though Maharaja Ranjit Singh may have been the bigger Raja in the eyes of the world. When Maharaja Ranjit Singh would go to battle, a lot of times he'd need the help of the Akali Faujan. Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji always had a minimum of 1,700 Akali soldiers with them at all times. And Maharaja Ranjit Singh, knowing the seat, the power that Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji had as Jathedar of Buddha Dal, as Jathedar of Akal Takht Sahib, he would go to Akal Takht Sahib, go out of his way, as he should have, to go to Akal Takht Sahib and make a beinti in the charan of Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji. And a time came when the Pathans of Naushera had gone Aki, they had gone rebellious. And they decided that Maharaja Ranjit Singh, even though he's won over this land, we don't owe him any tax, we don't owe him any land. Eventually we're going to take back Naushera, and after that we're going to take back all of Punjab, all of Afghanistan, and take back our Raj. And when Maharaja Ranjit Singh found out about this, he goes straight to Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji at Akal Takht Sahib. And this is where the second lesson comes in. That Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji wasn't just a Surbi general because of the vidya that they received from Akali Baba Naina Singh Ji, but also the Bani that they read as Jathedar, as a Gursikh. Waking up at 12 with the jot of the Nagara, during the Panjabani, the Nitane, Panj Granthi, Das Granthi, Asa Diwar, having all of that Bani, having Purosa in Maharaj's Bani and their Ardas, that's what led them to have that fierce character that Maharaja Ranjit Singh always relied on. So the day comes, Maharaja Ranjit Singh comes to Akal Takht Sahib and he lets Babaji know that Babaji, the Pathans of Naushera have gone Aki. And I want you to lead the charge to take back this land that we've won and is part of our Sikh Raj. And when they do this, Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, with all of their Akali Fauja, do an ardas in front of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, and give Maharaja Ranjit Singh their samrathan, their support. That at the end of the day, this Raj isn't just yours, this Raj isn't just mine, but it's the Sikh Raj, it's Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Raj. We sometimes also cast doubt on the character of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, but in some sources, they say that in his Lahore Dalraj, there was a huge mural in his palaces, where it was Guru Nanak Dev Ji sitting on their takht and Maharaja Ranjit Singh doing dandauts to their charan. So he still had that shraddha bhavna that many of us lack now. He had enough shraddha to come to Akal Takht Sahib and ask Buddha Dal under the Jathedari of Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji for that help. Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji did the ardas, and with all the Akali Singhs, once they did the ardas that we will support Maharaja Ranjit Singh till the end to get back the city of Naushera, the entire Diwan Hall, the entire Takht was roaring with the Jagare of Akal. Akali Ji prepared their forces to ride into battle. All of the tayariyan were done from Akali Ji's side and also Maharaja Ranjit Singh's. But a spy comes in and lets them know that their European generals, General Allard and General Ventura, who were about to bring a contingent of cannons, were going to run late. And Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, when they hear this news, they're thinking to themselves, so what? The ardas has already been done. We know what we're going to do. The Akalis are going to ride into Naushera tomorrow and take back our land. What difference does this news make? And Maharaja Ranjit Singh had told the spy to let Babaji know that we want to wait a little bit longer so we can have that takada muqabla in front of them. When the Pathans rain down all of those bullets from the Pahadis, we want to have the cannons to give them a muh todwan jawab. Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji replied back to the spy that Maharaja Ranjit Singh may trust his forces, may trust his cannons, but the one thing that Akali Baba Phoola Singh trusts is Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj and the ardas that happened in their time.
ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਜਕਾਰੇ ਜਾਵੇ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਿਹੰਗ ਕਾਲੀ ਬਾਬਾ ਫੂਲਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਭਾਵੇ
ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ.
And when I mention the relevance of this in the current times, when we look at the current situation in Punjab and we think to ourselves, what can we do? When the government, when the police forces abduct our activists, they silence our voice, and we're sitting across the planet on the other side, and we think to ourselves, what can we do? This is a prime example of thinking back to our shaheeds and how they lived their lives. And Puran Parosa of not only Guru Sahib, but an ardas to Guru Sahib's Jannah. That's the one thing we've disconnected ourselves from. We've started beginning to think that based on our vidya, based on our knowledge, we can do something. But at the end of the day, Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji realized that if we're going to do anything, the support we need is from Guru Sahib. And that's the one save, the one light that we've started distancing ourselves from. We've started internalizing the idea that we as humans, we as Sikhs, are the ones with the power, but have forgotten that the power comes from Gurbani and the Guru's Bana. Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji turns back the spy and tells him, that once the ardas is done, now Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji and all of his Akali forces aren't going to turn back. They did their kamar kasse, they tied up, and the next morning they decided that they were going to cross the Darya into the territory of Naushera, right in the face of the Pathans. And even though they did this with the only trust in the ardas in front of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj and the charan of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, there's still a raniti, because at the end of the day they were jathedar. Sometimes again we start diluting history and we look at the bigger themes that there was trust in ardas, but we forget that there were a jangi janat. They had a plan, they had a raniti, a strategy. So once they passed the Atak Darya, Lunde Darya nu par karke, they entered the city of Naushera, where all of these huge mountains are facing them, and the Pathans are at top, looking at their prey, thinking that we have the cannons, the guns, the talwara that we need to take out the small contingent of Akali forces. Maharaja Ranjit Singh also, although he didn't agree with Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's plan, he makes sure that he has the right reinforcements. When Muhammad Azim Khan is coming with a reinforcement of 10,000 forces, Maharaja Ranjit Singh sends his own son, Shahzada Khak Singh, along with Hari Singh Narua, to fend them off, while Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji leads the charge up the mountains. When Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji looks up at the mountains, they turn back to their Singhs and lalkar de hoye, they say, Suno Bir Khalsa Ji. You've won the battles of Multan, Kasur, Peshawar. And now's the time to keep Guru Gobind Singh Ji in your heart. Hirde vich vasar ke Naushera di jang vi fateh karo. There was no worry that we're outnumbered, that we don't have our cannons, that we don't have the right asla, whatever weapons we may use, because at the end of the day, the only energy that was going to win this battle was that of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And with that, they started the charge up the mountains of Naushera. And we talk about Raniti. to make sure to engage the Pathans in this Raniti. They made sure that all of their Akali Fauja were spread out across the mountain. At the same time, Maharaja Ranjit Singh had sent a contingent from the back to disperse the Pathans' guns and make sure that their vads were spread out, that they were kindred, right? They were spread out, they were weak. There was no one strong wing of the Pathan attack. And with that, the Pathans hear the roars of Akal in the mountains, and they look over their barricades, their little barracks, and they start seeing a huge cloud of dust. The only thing they can hear is the trot of hundreds of horses racing at them, but they see nothing. It's a huge dust cloud. You can't see where the ground starts and the sky begins. And out of all of that dust, the first thing they see is Akali Baba Phoola Singh's Phadla leading the charge. Their horse racing in front of all of their Akali Fauja. And even though they may have been a Buddha Janna, they may have been old in age, the color of their face, the nude, the lal rang on their face is beaming through. Because they know that at the end of the day, Hola has just passed. And they charge up the mountain. The Pathans start firing their guns. The bullets start raining down on the Singhs and they disperse across the mountain. Charging up, they use the small cannons that they had. They get closer and closer. And once they get close enough, that's when they begin to strike back. That's when they start firing at the Pathans and catch them off guard because they thought, we see a small contingent of 1,700 soldiers at best. We're going to take them out and we're going to march down through Naushera and take back what's rightfully ours. Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji leads the charge all the way up under all of those bullets, and once they get close enough, this is when the Pathans make their biggest mistake. When they get close enough, when they're coming under the mud of the Singh's fire, they start stepping out of their positions. They want to now go to a hand-to-hand combat with their talwara, with their weapons. And that's their biggest mistake. They come down the mountains of Naushera and start doing vaz with their talwara, with their nijje against the Akali Fauja. And that's when Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji takes out their tega. A lot of us may have seen their Shastra at Akal Takht Sahib and Sri Hazur Sahib. They take out their tega and start slicing off heads. All you see across the mountains of Naushera are arms and legs cut off. They look like hockey sticks. And then you see the heads like balls rolling down the mountains. This is what we call the game of jung. We can think about it, we think about the blood running through the mountains, and we start quivering with fear. But that's what a surma, Ranadek Sure Chit Ilas, when they see that battlefield, they see that blood and the body parts that they've chopped off of the Pathans, they're getting more excited. They cut off an arm, but they want to cut off the other too. And Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji is telling their saying, save this energy. Forget the Pathan you've already killed, kill 5 more, kill 10 more. And they're rushing up the mountain. When the Singhs become pari on the Pathans can't keep their feet. They can't keep themselves grounded in their positions. Instead of pushing forward, they're getting pushed back. They look around and they try understanding what's going on. With such a small force, how is this one Buddha Janad taking out tens of thousands of our soldiers? And when they look around, they think to themselves that the only way we're going to win this battle now is if we take out their top Janad. So now all of the attention is on Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji and on them alone. The Pathans now start aiming their guns at Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's chest. But again, there's an awareness that a Janad has, that a Jathedar has. And they're looking around and they see the guns aimed at their chest. And when the first bullet was fired, Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, with a pantara, picks up their horse. The legs go front and the Koda takes it to the chest. And their Koda becomes Shaheed. As soon as they get off that Shaheed Koda, with the ishara of their akh, just using their eye, they call for a hathi. And once their hathi comes, with one quick shot, they're on top. The Mahavat is steering, and now Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, instead of their tega, they're using a barsha, their nija, and a banduk in the other hand. Think about how surreal that may have looked. Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, the dust of battle, was on their horse, but now they're at an elevated height. You look at your Jathedar, you look at their Fadla swaying through the wind. You see a badsha piercing into the Pathans underneath that elephant, and you see them with the other hand, with perfect nishane, perfect aim, hitting right at the chests of the Pathans. And as they did that, the Pathans keep on going. They're not going to quit because their only win can now be taking out Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji. So they start now firing upon the elephant. The first casualty was the Mahavat, the one who was steering the elephant. After the Mahavat was out of the way, Maha Singh, one of Maharaja Ranjit Singh's journals, he uses his talwar di nok to jump onto the elephant as well, and he takes over the role of the Mahavat. As he's trying to steer Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji clear of the Pathan's nishane, they start aiming for Akali Ji's chest. They tried the first time, it hit their bakhi. So they couldn't get a clean shot. Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji stays in Chaddi Kala, they're yelling their hukams, their orders to the rest of the Akali Fauja, and they continue their battle. The second nishana was again for the chest, but it hit their modda instead. And this is when their banduk hand, they couldn't use that banduk anymore. And seeing this, Maha Singh grabs the banduk and starts firing at the Pathans. And Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, even though injured, start piercing the Pathans from on top with their neja. This is when the Pathans take their last aim for Akali Ji's forehead. And with that, the Gada hit Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's matha, and you see the blood squirt out. And when this happens, Pandit Sher Singh Ji in the Veer Margesh Granth, they talk about the Shaheed Diya Mahpurs. Because at the end of the day, all of the Shaheed sayings that we have in our history, they had that Rani, Bani, and Sani, they had that Bani and Bana. They deserved that Shaheedi. They put in all of that tap and heart to attain that Shaheedi in Maharaj's Jannah. And Pandit Sher Singh Ji, when they explain how a Mahpur Shaheedi happens, they say, Jado Marmasthal vich goli lagdi hai. Marmasthal is that place in your body that once you get struck there, once a goli hits there, like your heart, like your forehead, swas udo hi thode pure ho jate. There's no need for a second strike. That's your Marmasthal. And they say, Jab Marmasthal mein goli lagti hai to Surya Sanmukh kehte hain. That someone like me, someone weak-minded, without the Rani, Bani, Bani, and Bana, when I would get hit in the forehead with a bullet, I would fall back, as anyone would. But a Mahpurk with all of that pratap, all of that tej within their body, when Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji suffered that bullet to their matha, us Paramatma nu namaskara karte hi shaheedi pa gaye. They fell forward, bowing down to Maharaj, thanking them for this opportunity to fight for the Khalsa Panth, fight for the Khalsa Raj, and now give Shaheedi while giving para to their ardas. That Maharaji, we did an ardas in your chapel, that we're going to do Chadai the next day, and we're going to win back the city of Nashara. And it is with your kirpa that I was able, against all odds, against all obstacles, to fight and give my life in the battle of Nashara. Once Bhai Maha Singh sees that Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji behind them has taken the Dagada to their matha and have made such the bachan of their Ustad Akali Baba Naina Singh Ji, they signal to Maharaja Ranjit Singh that even though Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji has attained Shaheedi, don't let the forces know. Maharaja Ranjit Singh knows that the only reason we're in this battle, winning this battle, is because Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji had Purosa on their ardas. So until the end of the battle, the Akali Faujan didn't know that their Jathedar had become Shaheed. But as soon as they did, Maharaja Ranjit Singh goes to Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's sareer and hugs it. They feel the pain of the Dagada that has hit Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's matha. Because no matter what the political difference is, again, when we talk about relevance to today's day, no matter what the difference is in opinion, at the end of the day, they were all Guru Gobind Singh Ji's saints. They were working toward establishing the Raj of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Not one individual, not one group. It was the Khalsa's Raj. After their Shaheedi, Maharaja Ranjit Singh with Chandan di Lakdi puts together the funeral pyre, and the sanskar is done for Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji. And this is just the sakka of their Shaheedi. There's so many little episodes within their life where we learn about how much satkar they had for not just the Guru's Maryada, but the Guru's Kakar, for the Guru's Singhs. And now's the time to reflect when we keep thinking back to what's going on in Punjab, and we keep reminding ourselves of what we can do. The biggest lesson that we can get from Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji's life, it's no coincidence that all of this is happening shortly after their 200-year Shaheedi. It's for us to know that the only power we have is through Guru Sahib, the Guru's Bani and the Guru's Bana. The reason why we remember Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji 200 years after their Shaheedi is because they stood guard for the Guru's Ardas, the Guru's Maryada, and the Guru's Panth. So now when we have the pogues of Sri Sablo Maharaj in commemoration of Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji, try imagining the hut, the tap, the Chandi Kala that they brought to the Khalsa Panth. That Maharaja Ranjit Singh couldn't even tell his forces that they'd become Shaheed, risking that the Fauja would lose all of their motivation. When they reigned into the battlefield, they gave Chalka of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj in battle. Now you may ask why. It's because Maharaj themselves say Khalsa Mero Satguru Pura. And we're only the Pura Satguru if we have the Rat that Maharaj gave us, the Bani and the Bana that Maharaj gave us, just like Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji did. So keeping in mind in time, we're going to now come together to do the poems of Sri Sablo Maharaj. Listen to that Bani. Think about the power that Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji would have received from that Bani. To stand guard, risking their life and giving it up for the Panth. And becoming not just Akali by name, but Akali in our history. To be remembered till the end of time. Again, I thank Singh Sabgyani Sher Singh Ji for ordering the youth in the US, UK, Punjab, and Canada to spread the history of Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji. I feel very fortunate to sit in the same asthan that they did Katha when they came in January about the history of Akali Baba Phoola Singh Ji. I'd also like to thank my Ustad, Dr.Supreet Singh Ji, Ambadewade, for giving us this opportunity and taking this uprala, for bringing us all together under the Guru's Bani, through Santha, through Katha. And again, forgive me for any mistakes. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.